We're just days away from entering into the most solemn and significant time of the Christian year, Lent, that penitential time of reflection and examination of one's own life and soul, which culminates in Good Friday with the angst of the cross and the jubilation of Easter Sunday and the risen Christ. We begin this season with two very different days. Shrove Tuesday, also known as Fat Tuesday, when we celebrate with a pancake dinner, originally designed to rid the home of rich, fatty foods in anticipation of the ritual fasting of the Lenten period. The butter and eggs and whipped cream and corn or maple syrup. Other countries celebrate Carnival, or Mardi Gras, which is the French for Fat Tuesday, with church bells tolling, parades, and dancing in the streets. Definitely sounds like more fun than breakfast for dinner. Well, Shrove Tuesday is followed by Ash Wednesday, in my opinion, the most missional day in a secular world. For most, one goes to church before work or over the noon hour. The minister marks your forehead with the cross of Christ in ashes, derived from the palms from last year's Palm Sunday that have been burned and ground for this service. As you go about the rest of your day, people will mention that you have dirt on your forehead or reach out to erase it with their fingers or a tissue, which gives you the chance to respond, "Oh no, that's not a smudge. This is Ash Wednesday, and that is the sign that I'm marked by my love of Christ." Or, "It's Ash Wednesday today, and that cross declares that I am bearing witness to being one of his flock, a Christian," or some such. Any other day of the year, even if you wear a cross around your neck or a bumper sticker bearing one of Christ's fish, you don't get to engage in conversation. But a smudged forehead gives you endless opportunities throughout the day. And it isn't as if you are pushing your faith and starting the conversation. You're just taking advantage of their curiosity. How many of your own workmates know you're a practicing Christian? Or your neighbors, do they know? You'd be amazed at how many people do not know, or that you go to church, or that you believe. In our society, such attestations of faith don't often come up outside of our churches and online faith communities. We tend to see religion as a private matter. But most of us would love to bring someone to Christ, to be the missioner that He called us to be, to invite someone to church with us, but don't know how to raise the subject or to embarrass them or ourselves with an unwelcome invite. Ash Wednesday is different. The mistaken identity of a cross for a smudge can be laughed off and both parties move on. Or it can lead to questions about how you feel about being asked about it, or why it's done, or whether you belong to some weird sect that worships on Wednesdays. It gives you the chance to think about why you do it. Is it because you've fond memories of going with your parents to breakfast for dinner one day and ashes after breakfast the next? Or is it that you feel it sets the tone for the 40 days of Lent? Plus the Sundays that are always days of celebration, not included in the duty and concerns of the rest of the weeks. Or, as a church member, do you feel it one of those duties you owe the clergy and volunteers to show up for, and doesn't take that much time anyway? Do you scrub your forehead so you won't be asked and embarrass those who don't recognize why it is there? Or do you wear it as a badge of honor and long for the queries? We each enter into the Lenten period with different levels of commitment, with different practices and our own ways of observing and caring. One thing that is pretty common is giving up something for Lent. It is to act as a deprivation of something we enjoy so that we feel the loss as atonement. Lenten commitments tend to be different from our New Year's resolutions, inasmuch as they're more likely to be kept for a longer period, even if one doesn't make it all the way through to Easter. But since only 77% of people last a single week in January, that isn't saying much. New Year's resolutions tend to be something to your personal advantage, losing weight or saving money, learning to dance or pick up school marks, whereas Lenten commitments are something you're doing for your God, your faith, and your soul. People tend to give up spending on frivolous things. They don't go to the theater or dine out or buy new apps during Lent. Some do give up candy or desserts or alcohol, although I'm always suspicious that a waistline that needs reducing may lie behind that. Some commit to using the money saved from not spending on such things to a good cause or the Sunday plate. On the other hand, some people take up doing something, giving up that time, rather than giving something up. For starters, we can forgive and forget the multitude of irritants and deeds of others that we have hung on to, and we can add a prayer that others have forgiven our misdeeds. Personally, each year I commit to writing a number of letters to people who have made a difference in my life to say thank you. They can be people I know, or public figures, or a star whose accomplishments I admire. One can commit to attending public meetings to make sure your feelings are heard on what will happen to the Science Center, or the 407 or bike lanes, writing letters to the editor about tariffs, or visiting a politician's office to make sure your concerns as a Christian are heard. One can commit to sending a monthly donation to a cause or volunteer to a day a month at a charity, or helping a candidate in your neighborhood to get ready for the upcoming federal election. It is too late for the provincial. Being a part of a responsible and caring community is one of our responsibilities, both as a Christian and as a Canadian. Doing what we can to ease suffering or counter crime is not optional. It is what we need to do. And how to do these things becomes part of the contemplation of our lives that engages us during Lent. What have we been doing that we ought not to have done? And what have we not been doing that we need to do? How do we atone and how do we forgive? To start with, we get down on our knees and ask God for guidance in being honest with Him and with ourselves. Examining our conscience does not mean coming up with excuses and rationales for what we've done. It does not seek to justify indifference or ignorance. It isn't always just being honest with oneself, but do remember, God knows what you've done or failed to do. That makes it a bit easier to look yourself in the mirror of self-acknowledgement. Lent is a special time for each of us and for God. Do take advantage of it. Take time away from the internet or your favorite team or lazing about and dedicate it to learning more about the kind of person you have become and then how you are going to get to be the kind of person both you and God want you to be. And so I pray, sweet Jesus, this is the time that leads to the culmination of your life, given for each of us. Let us use this time wisely to become the kind of person growing in faith and in living and loving as you would wish us to do and to be. So may it be. Amen.